Jamie Plunkett and Jeremy Clark here with 24/7 Sports, HornFrogBlitz.com, breaking down TCU's 34-17 win in the battle for the Iron Skillet. The Skillet stays in Fort Worth.
That's right.
For one more year, Jeremy. It was a pretty good overall game from the Horned Frogs today. They left a little bit of meat on the bone for the offense. We can get into that. But what's your first impression of this win for the Horned Frogs today?
It's a double-digit win again. I mean, as bad as we all think sometimes the offense looks, they're leaving points on the board. Sonny said it today. There's some points being left on the board. I really feel like the offense is close. Mm-hmm. Anytime you go out and win by 17 points, it's still a good win. I think SMU's a really good team. I know a lot of fans don't want to hear that. They want to hear about the doom and gloom, but I really feel like SMU's a good team. They've got a lot of experience, has some good athletes today, so I'll take 34-17 every day of the week.
I mean, a win is a win, right? And the Frogs find themselves at 3-1 after that opening week loss to Colorado, so a lot of progress has been made, I think, in the first third of the season, especially when you consider where this defense was in week one. They've given up, I believe, 10 total points in the second halves in the last 3 weeks of football. Mm-hmm. That's not too shabby. Nnamdi Obiezor is playing a lot more confident at that star linebacker position, but the secondary picks from Josh Newton and Bud Clark today, that whole unit has really stepped up.
Yeah, when you can look back and see Preston Stone having a lot of time to throw. Some plays he had, 5 to 6 seconds to throw. Yes. He's running around. You made a reference. He was building a campfire one time waiting to throw. And the secondary didn't give up. I mean, they gave up a few big plays, but overall I thought they played pretty well. I think Preston ended up with 250 yards passing, but when you don't have a big pass rush every down and you have a lot of time to throw, you're going to get big plays. Jeremy Curley's nephew had a big play today.
He did.
Jordan Curley hauled in that 50-yard reception. But I thought the secondary played exceptional. I thought playing against a skill level that SMU has at receiver, I thought that was really, really promising to see from the defense. And I think they're just going to keep getting better, man. This is people don't want to hear it, but I think SMU is a Power 5 team. I think they have Power 5 talent, and they're going to win a lot of football games. Just like Sonny said, they're going to be favored to win by at least 10 points, probably the 8-9 weeks from now on. Mm-hmm. So that's a good team. That's a good team they played today.
It is a good team they played today, and I think where SMU has done a really good job is in the transfer portal. They brought in a lot of Power 5 veteran talent from other schools. They looked really good up front on both sides of the ball today. We can get into that a little bit because TCU's offensive line struggled again today, had a couple big penalties that set them behind the chains and killed a couple drives. And then on the other side, like you mentioned, that three-man front really struggled to get pressure on Preston Stone. They had a couple sacks today in the fourth quarter that kind of salvaged some stuff, but still not where the trenches need to be for TCU at this point.
I will say the offensive line for SMU was a lot bigger than I expected them to be. Mm-hmm. I didn't expect to see that kind of size up front, but like you said, they've added a lot of additions through the transfer portal, got some guys that have size, a lot of experience. They impressed me. SMU's offensive line impressed me, but I know we're talking bad, not really bad about the defensive line. We're giving them a little bit of heat. But there were times today where each one of those three guys were getting double teamed. SMU was keeping 6 guys in to block. So I'm not going to fault them too much for not getting a ton of pressure. But I would say this was a good it's kind of a measuring stick to kind of see where you are as a team in the trenches, because you're going to see a lot of big lines like this in the Big 12. You're going to see some athletic D lines like this in the Big 12. And I thought overall they rushed for almost 200. Emani Bailey rushes for over 100 yards 3 out of 4 games he's gone. Mm-hmm. You're going to talk about that in a second, I know. But, I mean, as far as just playing in the trenches, I think that's one thing Sonny said that he wants to see continue to get better. But they go out and they score 34 points. They get almost 300 yards passing. They get almost 200 yards rushing. 457, I think it was, for the total today. So they're doing something right.
They are doing something right. You mentioned Emani Bailey. It's his third game with over 100 yards rushing, like you said. 25 carries, 126 yards. It's 5 yards a carry. That's pretty easy math even for me.
Yeah.
Another rushing touchdown from 24 yards out where he put a really nice move on a safety, made that kid's
Jonathan
knees
McGill,
buckle. Put his knees in an early grave and got into the end zone. And I asked Sonny about Emani after the game, and he lit up. I think of all the players that Sonny has talked about through the first 4 weeks, he gets the most excited to talk about Emani Bailey post game. He said, "I love him. He's a baller. He's going to make plays when he's out there." And I think we're at the point now where we can safely call Emani Bailey TCU's feature running back, because he's been out there more often than not.
There's no running back by committee like he thought they were going to have this year with Trey. Trey will make a few flashy plays. I mean, he tried to hurdle a guy today. I mean, he wants to jump. I mean, he's going to run hurdles for track this year from what I heard. But I mean, Emani's just a difference maker. And what I said earlier this week in our podcast is that the guy just wants to get positive yards. He's hitting the running lanes as fast as he can, and more often than not, he's going to get those positive yards. But that run he had, I mean, just the shiftiness, just the move that he made on McGill around the 10-yard line, I mean, that's impressive. And that's a guy that, I mean, you're going to look up by the end of the season, we may be seeing a 1,500, 1,600-yard back. And you're talking about right now in a league that's kind of wide open. He may be the best running back in the Big 12 right now. So I mean, there's not a lot of argument right now for that.
He's closing in on 500 yards a third of the way through the season. So there's some more easy math for you. You know, 500
and
times 3 is
math,
1,500. You know, and I think what's another big aspect of Bailey's game that I saw today was on his one reception, right? So we talked a lot about the running. He had one catch for 11 yards, but before he had that catch, which was kind of a little delayed route, he chipped a guy back into the offensive line and really helped protect Chandler a little bit more. I've been talking about that on my podcast about the first running back to step up and block better is going to get more time on the field, and we've been seeing that from Emani Bailey as well. That's been really impressive.
That's what everyone saw from Amari. Amari was that guy last year that can come in and kind of do everything that a running back needs to do, and you're starting to see those flashes from Emani, and you're starting to get more excited. You're starting to think, okay, well, this dude, he's instantly becoming a media favorite, but he's also becoming a fan favorite at the same time because everyone wants to see the ball in number 9's hands. So it's special to see him kind of playing the way he is right now.
It really is, you know, and like you said, the offense has a lot of work to do. Still some red zone issues. I think they're outside the top 100 in the country in red zone efficiency right now. That's got to get fixed in order for this team to continue winning football games as they enter Big 12 play. But there's an opportunity, I think, to continue putting points on the board while they progress, and that's a good situation for a coaching staff to have a team in where you're winning football games, you're doing the most important thing, and you still have room to coach and room to grow and get even better as the season goes on.
You know, they left 2 points off the board today.
They did.
Sonny was kind of mad about that. You guys are going to see that on the post-game interview. And he didn't hold back, did he?
He didn't. So, you know, that last possession for SMU offensively, Dom Williams gets into the backfield, and shout out to Paul Oyewale on this play because he put the left guard for SMU on his backside to free up Dom for the sack. And it looked like Preston Stone's forward momentum stopped before he got out of the end zone.
It did.
Should have been a safety. And normally in plays like that, especially when it's a 17-point win, you don't hear much in postgame about it. But unprompted, Sonny Dykes said that, you know, he said it's an AAC officiating crew.
Yeah, he called him out.
He said that was a BS call. That was the worst call I think I've ever seen.
Been coaching college football a long time, and one of the worst calls he's ever seen is what he said.
Yeah.
And he not only he doubled down, he threw out the American Conference. So there's probably going to be a nice little fine coming his way.
A little fine coming his way. But hey, after a win over a rival, you keep the skillet in Fort Worth. You know, there's
hooray.
You know.
Yeah, hooray.
Hooray. Yeah, that was another thing, too, right? Sonny was in a mood after this win. I think this was probably the happiest we've seen him after a win this season. You know, he was asked afterwards about the ending of the Iron Skillet rivalry, and he answered with one word. He said, hooray. And I think that sums up most of TCU's fans' feelings about this rivalry at this point.
Sure does, man. I mean, again, 34-17 over a good football team. You're headed back into Big 12 play next week.
Yep.
A lot of momentum. West Virginia's coming to town. You go on the road to Iowa State. There's absolutely no reason why this team can't be 6-1 when they go to Kansas State in a few weeks.
Absolutely no reason. Just got to get cleaned up execution-wise on offense in the red zone and keep this defense locking it down. It's going to be really good. Now, you guys know how we end every one of these videos. Keep it over at hornfrogblitz.com. Follow Jeremy at Jeremy Clark 24/7 and me at Frog Preacher on Twitter. We're going to have you covered for TCU football from here to the end of the season, and then recruiting once again. It's going to fire back up.
Recruiting's kind of slow right now, but I think it's going to be picking up soon.
We'll be picking up soon, so keep it there. Like this video, leave a comment, make sure that you're subscribed over at hornfrogblitz.com, and we'll catch you next time.